All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's role play session with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea. And I'd like to start, as always, by welcoming our participants to our role play session. Our favorite time of the week is Thursday morning, when we get to practice the universal callback script and we get to discuss all matters pertaining to lead conversion. And that's what I'd like to do here this morning, is do as many role plays as time permits using the universal callback script. But of course, at the same time, we can also discuss questions that you might have, any objections that you might be getting, or any elements of the follow-up system, particularly with the universal callback script, that would be helpful to you. What you've no doubt discovered by now is that this script, well, number one, speaking to the prospects obviously is critical. Generating the leads is a complete waste of time if we don't actually speak to the prospects. But then what you've discovered is that just because you speak to the prospect doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to move the ball forward. If we don't say the right things, the prospect considers us to be a real estate salesperson and they push us away. So saying the right things is absolutely critical. Now, the next phase, though, is this. When you do become really good on the phone and you become really, really effective with the universal callback script, what you'll find is that booking appointments with buyer and seller prospects is actually pretty easy, because what we're offering them is of huge benefit to the prospect, and really there is no downside. We're emphasizing cost and obligation to remove the risk. We're focusing first and entirely on the benefit of what we're offering, and we're contrasting the benefit of what we're offering with whatever they're doing right now. Okay, and that's how I wanted to begin this morning's role play session, is by making sure that everybody really understands that. Okay, watch this. You've got a prospect. Doesn't matter if they responded to a buyer or seller offer. Doesn't mean whether they're buying first, selling first, or both. The bottom line is this. When you make an offer, you have to make sure that your offer, when contrasted with what they're currently doing, your offer is a better alternative. If they're currently looking for a property, what you're offering is better than what they're doing right now, right? If they are thinking about selling their property, then what you're going to propose to them is better than what they're currently doing right now. And if the prospect understands that, the only reason that they would decline your offer is fear of cost and obligation. It is the only reason. So we've done a really outstanding job of making sure the prospect understands the benefit of what we're offering. Let me give you an example. Look, Mrs. Smith, I couldn't help but notice that you responded to my ad online, and I can only assume that every day you're combing the internet trying to find the perfect property that matches what you and your family are looking for. The problem is you're missing some of the most perfect properties, especially the hard to find deals. If I could email you every day all of the properties, including the hard to find deals, bank foreclosures, distressed sales, company owned properties, pre-foreclosure properties, unclaimed homes, all of the great deals that represent a perfect match for what you and your family are looking for, and those would be sitting in your email inbox the moment they came available on the market, would that be a better way for you to look for your property? Now, I know that the prospect's going to say yes to that. Now, the only thing getting in the way of an appointment now is fear of cost and obligation. Mrs. Smith understands the benefit of what I'm offering, okay? And we can even further elaborate if we need to. Mrs. Smith, every day when you check your emails, any properties that have come on the market from the night before will be immediately sitting in your email inbox so that you can take a look at them, especially the great hard to find deals in the marketplace that you and perhaps other buyers might be looking for. The difference is you're going to know about those properties first. It's absolutely free. There's no obligation to buy anything whatsoever. Would that be helpful for you? Yes, it would. When have you got 15 or 20 minutes so we can sit down and do a good job of figuring out exactly what we should be sending and what you're looking for? Days, evenings, weekends, I'm flexible. And as I said, it's absolutely free and there's no obligation to buy anything. Okay? What we're doing is we're contrasting what we're offering with what the prospect is currently doing. I'm looking online. I'm driving around looking at open houses. I'm looking through real estate magazines. Whatever they're doing sucks compared to what we're offering. So we need to make sure that they understand the difference between what we're proposing versus what they're doing. When they see, yes, what you're proposing is better, then all we have to do to book the appointment is remove the threat of cost and obligation. And you can book an appointment with anyone you want to. And the same is true on the seller side. If you're thinking about selling your home, you want to know accurately what your property would likely sell for. And the best way to do that is to take a look at it. But there are other benefits to taking a look at your property. Not just determining the likely sales price, but making sure that we pinpoint everything that you could do to make your property worth more than what it might be currently worth today. Inexpensive things that you can do, things not to do, that are going to have an impact on the sales price of the property. So some of you, when you make the offer, it almost sounds like an afterthought, or a lot of times it sounds like you're simply offering a list of properties. Remember this, if the prospect requested an area home sales report, and when you make your offer, it sounds like you're just offering them an area home sales report, they're going to decline your offer because they've already got that. You're not offering them anything different. You haven't made a contrast what they have now, what they're doing now versus what you're proposing. So this is what we're going to be working on here today. Now, one other thing that I wanted to mention. One of our great students, Sandy, emailed me a recording of one of her follow-up calls. Now, I'm not going to play it because I didn't get permission from her to do that. But I did call Sandy and I left a critique of her call on her voicemail because I thought it was excellent. And this is where I'm going with this is, first of all, if we get Sandy to give permission, I would love to play her call. It's about 5 minutes long. She books an appointment with a very reluctant prospect who clearly is threatened by cost and obligation, and Sandy does a really great job of removing that as best as possible and booking the appointment. But more importantly is this, recording your calls. There is nothing more valuable for your own instruction than to record your calls. When you listen back to a 5-minute call and you listen to yourself from a third-party perspective, you will get great insight into what you're saying and what you're not saying, what you're missing, what you might not be hearing from the prospect, because you're so wrapped up in what am I going to say next. If you're so caught up in what you're going to say next, you're not really listening to what the prospect is telling you. And what the prospect might be telling you would give you tremendous insight into their timing and motivation, which is the purpose of the call in the first place. So that's something that I highly recommend, and I know we've talked about it before, but geez, when you do it, it sure does make a difference. Okay.
And we have permission from Sandy. She said we can certainly play it. So.
Well, that is lovely. Okay, good. Well, here's what I'll do then. While we're doing a couple role plays, I will. And can you ask Sandy if she got my my voicemail that I left her after I listened to it? Can you?
I can. She can hear you. Yes, Sandy. Well, you can't. She can't talk to us. She's muted. But Sandy, she said, "Yes, I did. Thank you. I sent you an email back."
Oh, okay. I don't think I got your email for whatever reason, but okay. So yeah, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to forward this to you, Andrea, and then you can figure out how to play it. And in the meantime, let's take some of our volunteers who want to do some role playing or anything related to the universal script.
Okay, we do already have some questions and hand raised. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and type your question or comment in the chat box, or you can raise your hand by clicking the little yellow hand icon. You must have a mic or be on the telephone to role play with us. Our first question came in very early, so this is from Vic, and he also raised his hand. I'll go ahead and ask it. The lead first question, are you the listing agent? I work only with listing agents. How would you answer that first question? And Vic, I'm going to go ahead and open your line since you raised your hand.
Yeah, hi James, how are you, sir?
Hey Vic, how you doing?
Doing great, thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I get sometimes that question very early, the first question. That
okay, but when do you mean? Like, so what is the prospect I'm confused as to what the, like if the prospect called off a sign and it's your name on the sign, well, I mean, that's what I'm confused at. Are they calling on a property or a list of properties?
They're calling about a property, either from Realtor.com or Zillow or Commission Inc., and that's the first thing they ask. Not everybody, but some of them, they ask me that question very early, like the first question.
Okay, and most often the property that they're calling on is not your property listing, or is?
It's not.
Okay, it's not. Okay, well, here's a great way of answering it. If they were calling on a property that wasn't your property, you could say this. Although that's not my listing, I do have full access to that property information. But let me ask you, Vic, are you only interested in that one single property? Or if there were other great deals that were also available that matched what you were looking for that you weren't aware of, would you also like information on those properties as well? Because I do have access to those also.
Yeah, I'm interested on other properties too, but I just work with listing agents. I wrote many offers before with agents, and none of them worked. We found out that the listing agent sold it.
No problem. Vic, all I'm doing right now is I'm offering you information on properties for sale. So whether you choose at some point to purchase one of these properties, that's a decision that you can make down the road. Are you thinking about making a purchase in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yes.
Yeah, and do you currently rent or do you own the home you live in right now?
Right now I rent.
You're renting. And if you were to make a move, when do you think that might be?
I'm thinking to purchase in the next couple of months.
Okay. Do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right? Or you mentioned using the listing agent. Is that something that you're committed to doing, or how did you arrive at that conclusion?
Well, like I said, I wrote 3 offers with different agents. None of them work. I noticed the listing agent, if I work with them, that's what's going to happen.
Okay, okay. Well, Vic, would you like me to email you every day all of the great properties as they come on the market? Not only my property listings, but all the property listings from all the different real estate companies, as long as they match exactly what you and your family are looking for in a property. But this is very important, Vic. I'm also going to include all of the deals that you're not finding right now, or perhaps you're having difficulty finding. There are bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, there are distressed sales, there are vacant properties, there are probates. There are great deals that come on the market that might perfectly match what you're looking for, and you very likely are missing out on these properties. I can email those to you the second they come on the market, and there's absolutely no cost. There's no obligation whatsoever to buy anything. Would that make your search easier, Vic? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, go ahead and send it.
Okay. Hey, Vic, I really want to do a great job for you. When have you got 15 or 20 minutes where the two of us can sit down together and go over your criteria in detail so that I only send you the correct properties and don't miss out on the perfect one? Please remember, there is no cost. There's no obligation to buy anything, but I do want to do a good job for you, and I'm flexible. What's a good time? Days, evenings, weekends? What would be best, Vic?
Evening will be better.
Evening? Today is Thursday. Would this evening be better or tomorrow evening?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow evening? Early, like something around 5:30, or later after 7?
6 o'clock.
Perfect. We'll see you then. And Vic, all I want you to do to prepare for our appointment, I want you to consider all of the elements in a property that are most important to you, and then I can immediately prepare a list of properties when you come, but more importantly, we can set you up so that we do a really good job for you. You don't need to bring your wallet or checkbook. There's no charge to this. We'll see you at my office tomorrow evening at 6.
Okay. So, okay,
now,
that's
so
great.
here's what I want to know from you. So what's different about what we just did and what you might be doing in that same circumstance?
Well, what I was telling them actually initially, that if I have a good deal, if it's not my listing, would you like me to tell you or no?
But here's the thing, yeah. Vic, is if you take the approach that I just did, where you're going to provide them with all the properties, including my listings and my company's listings, as well as all of the listings from all the other real estate companies, okay? Here's the thing. What you're doing is you're providing full access and information to that prospect. Now, the time to explain to them how the offer process works is not over the phone.
Yes.
You're never going to win that battle over the phone. So all I can do over the phone is I can compel them with information, all the information. So the prospect is saying, well, what's in it for you? And I can say, well, as I said, I will send you my own listings and listings from my company, but I will also send you all of the other properties from all other companies, as well as private listings, etc. I'll send you all of them. Okay, now, the prospect wants that. So it's not a shocker that they say, yeah, that would be great. But I'm not going to get into an explanation over the phone as to why calling the listing agent isn't always the best approach. I'm going to reserve that for when we're sitting down together in your office, and you can do a much better job of explaining and showing them how representation works and why using the listing agent isn't always the best approach.
Okay. And thank you. This is a great. I'm going to try this. And however, in case if they ask, if I tell them, would you like me to email you all the listings that include my own listing and other companies' listing, so forth, and they respond to me, just send your own listings. How would you respond to that?
It means you haven't done a good job of compelling them with what the other listings are.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
the whole idea is, listen, Vic,
sense.
the other listings should sound way better than yours.
Okay.
Right? Think about it. If I say this, Vic, would you like to receive every day by email all of the properties that come on the market that match exactly what you're looking for? Not just my own listings, but also all of the great deals that you might not find yourself. Let me give you an example. Private listings, pocket listings, distress sale properties, bank foreclosure properties. These might represent the perfect deal that you and your family are looking for, but you're not finding them. I have access to those properties, and I will email them to you immediately, absolutely free. There's no obligation to buy any of them. Would that be of interest to you? No, I only want your listings. No one's going to say that. They're all going to say, yes, I would like that as well. That's when you've got them hooked.
Thank you very much, James. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Vic. Always nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Michelle London. Hold on one moment while I pull up your line. Michelle, you're open.
Hello.
Morning.
Michelle,
Morning.
we're having a hard time hearing you.
Andrea. Good morning, Andrea.
Michelle London, you sound like you're calling
Good morning,
from London.
Andrea.
Good morning. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
We better go on. There's a massive echo.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Michelle London is calling from London.
Michelle, if you could dial in on your telephone, we're getting feedback from your speakers. We can hear ourselves, and it's just not going to work for a role play. But go ahead and call in on the telephone, and we can adjust that. I'm going to go ahead and go to a chat question from Ron. I had a buyer come to my open, called him back and said he was working with a couple of brokers and doesn't need more stuff sent to his email. I tried to offer him an offer, and after a while, he was getting aggravated with me. And
Hey, do me a favor. Start from the beginning. I want to make sure I understand this completely.
no problem. And I was speaking pretty
Sorry.
quickly. I'm sorry. No, it's my fault. And just to make sure you can hear me clearly.
Thank you. Yes, I can.
Okay. I had a buyer come to my open, called him back, said he was working with a couple of brokers and doesn't need more stuff sent to his email. Ron tried to make an offer, and after a while, the prospect was getting aggravated. What would you have done? He was thinking about hanging up on him.
This is all very confusing. I'm trying to understand this situation, like you're following up with a prospect, or I mean, this person was rude? Is that the gist of this?
You know, I read it a couple times, and I probably should have asked for clarification before I read the question aloud. Ron?
All right, well, why don't we do that? Why don't we do that, and then we'll come back to it when there's a little more info.
Okay, hold on one moment. Okay, Elizabeth typed in, I had a young buyer come in for an appointment, found he was new to the area and wanted to rent to get to know the area more. I gave him a referral to a local rental company. 2 weeks later, he contacted me through email asking to see a new house. How can I help him? What should I have done different? The appointment, the buyer presentation.
Well, what you want to do is this. You really need to make sure you do a great job on the phone of establishing timing and motivation. But you book the appointment, which is the right thing to do. Okay, so in other words, you might as well err on the side of caution and book the appointment. Here's why. We can sign that buyer to a 12-month buyer agreement. Okay, so even if you get them into a 6-month rental and they figure out where they want to live in the area, or maybe when they go out and they look at rental properties, what they discover is this. They'd be in a much better position to purchase rather than rent. You've got them signed to a buyer agency agreement. Now remember this, in tandem with the cancellation guarantee, there is absolutely no downside to the buyer signing your buyer agency agreement. Okay, it means that they have your representation and they have immediate access to all of the properties as they come on the market, regardless of whether they choose to buy one or not. So, you know, really in this situation, signing them to a 12-month buyer agreement that obligates them to absolutely nothing would be the prudent thing to do. But it's still not too late. I mean, you know, think about it. They're new to the area. That means you've established yourself as their realtor. So, I mean, listen, people don't like going through the discomfort of talking to dozens of realtors. You know, if they have a realtor that's proven helpful, they're good. That's what they're looking for. No one is looking to make this process difficult and uncomfortable. They would much prefer it to be easy. And so anybody that you've helped to come back to that person and further help them is easy. It's a no-brainer. So I'm not sure where the challenge is. I would only suggest that up front, getting them signed to an agreement, and in this circumstance, using the cancellation guarantee to remove the threat, remove the risk, would have been probably the most prudent thing to do.
Okay, Ron entered a little clarification. I'm going to go ahead and read it now. He said he asked me to text him properties because he didn't want so many emails sent to him. He tried to explain to him that he can send more properties once they got together. He said just text them. How should he respond?
So this conversation did not take place over the telephone. This took place over text or over the phone.
It took place over the phone.
Okay, so here we go. So we're going to do a little role play here, and I say, Ron, would you like me to email you properties every day? I can email them directly to you as they come on the market. All the great deals, private listings, et cetera, et cetera. They represent a great deal. It's free. There's no obligation. Ron says, sure. Then I go to book the appointment and I say, hey, Ron, when have you got 15, 20 minutes where we can sit down and do a great job of determining what you're looking for? Days, evenings, weekends, I'm flexible. Remember, there's no cost. What would be good for you? Listen, just text me the properties. Just text me the properties. Ron, I really want to do a great job for you. And if we sit down together, I've got a form that I fill out that allows me to determine all of the critical areas in a property, the types of properties that you're looking for, so that I don't send you properties that don't match what you're looking for, and worse, I don't miss out on the perfect property. It's important to me that I do a good job for you, and I know it's important to you. If we can spend 15, 20 minutes up front, we can save hours of time in the process. There is no cost to the appointment. There is no obligation to buy anything. Are you certain you wouldn't reconsider a brief 15, 20-minute appointment at your convenience, Ron? And that's it. And if Ron says, no, I wouldn't. I plan on buying a property over text. Well, it speaks to their motivation. Now, the other thing I would point out is this. Does this happen to you all the time? Or is this infrequent? Is this rare? Because if it is, don't change anything. That's okay. This is the exception, not the rule. If this happens all the time, what it tells me is that we need to work on explaining the benefit of the offer better. And we're not doing a good enough job. The prospect doesn't understand the benefit of what you're offering, and they need to understand the offer better. If they did, they would want it. If they don't understand the benefit of the offer, they don't want it. So they're not going to come in and make an appointment for something that they don't want, but they would make an appointment for something that they do want. So we've got to make them want what we're offering so that they come get it. All right, I hope that helps.
Okay, Michelle was able to dial in on the telephone, so I'm going to go ahead and open her line. Michelle, go ahead.
Hello, Michelle.
Good morning, Andrea. James, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I have a question for you. I do get leads on Z Buyer, and sometimes when there's a seller lead, before I call the seller, I will run a CMA. When I call up and I offer them, to let them know a current market evaluation to determine what their home would sell for, occasionally they'll say to me, well, I already know what my home would sell for. And occasionally when they've mentioned what it is and I find my CMA is much lower, how would you handle something like that?
Okay, well, first of all, what offer, what are they asking for in the first place? So in other words, if I requested an over-the-net home evaluation and then I said, but I already know the value of my home, that wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? So here's
no,
the question.
that's not what happens.
What are they asking for?
They're simply saying on Z Buyer that they want to sell their home, and they put an estimated value, and I'll double check and see whether their value is high or low. I might find that doing a CMA that is much lower. How do you handle that with the seller?
Well, we've got to get to the bottom. See, the introduction of what we say is critical. All right. When you're following up with a prospect, the reason for calling them is critical. So what we have to understand is what specifically were they asking for when they requested information? What were they requesting? What did they ask for when they went on Z Buyer?
Sell their home. Yeah, they're simply saying that they're selling their home. They're not requesting anything.
Okay, so they put in selling our home and no other information. They're not asking for anything. They just go on there and say selling our home.
Yeah.
And putting in all their contact details.
Yes.
Okay, so here's what I would suggest then. You don't want to focus on the value of their property because giving them that information over the phone is only going to scare them away, obviously. Okay, that's reserved for the appointment. What you want to figure out is their motivation and timing. All right, so here's what we would do. I would call you up and I would say, oh, hi, Michelle. It's James calling with Craig Proctor's office from RE/MAX. The reason I'm calling is because you had indicated on our website an interest in selling your property, and I just wanted to follow up with you and determine, are you considering doing that in the next 3 to 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, if you were to make a move, would you be staying here locally or would you be moving out of the area? Where would you be going?
And this is an exact conversation I've had. Well, we haven't decided yet.
Okay. Well, do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
We're looking around. We get information from a few realtors.
Let me ask you this. Do you think you'd prefer to sell your present home before you find your next home, or would you rather look around and see what's out there and buy something before your present home is sold? How do you think you'd like to do it?
We haven't really decided that yet.
Okay, so if an offer came in on your property, immediately, would it be something that you'd consider?
Yes.
Okay. Michelle, I understand that you have an idea of value of your property, but if I can come and take a look at your property, not only can I give you an accurate determination of the likely sales price, but this would be more important. I can point out by looking at your property some really inexpensive things that you could do to make your home worth even more money, so that when buyers saw your property, it became more in demand, and thus the price went up on your property. Also, we can go over a net sheet so you'll know all of the various closing costs that you'll incur, so you'll know what you'll have left in your pocket. We can talk about timing. We can talk about any interest in perhaps looking around to see what properties might be available to purchase. The whole thing is absolutely free. There's no obligation whatsoever for you to do anything at all. I understand you're simply looking to gather more information at the moment, and I'm flexible. When would be a good time for you to get together with me for about an hour? Days, evenings, weekends, what would be best?
Oh, I'm not really sure. But James, may I ask you, what do you do when you say, because I have said, I know you have an idea of the valuation of your property. I would
Don't
like to
fight
come
about
and do, yeah,
What
I'd
you
like
want-
to come and do an accurate assessment. And they'll say, well, I already know the value of my property. And then when I've said, well, I'd like to come, I could give you tips on what to do and what not to do to get the most value from your property. And they'll say, it's not my first rodeo. I've done this before, so I know what to do. How do you handle something like that?
Okay, well, first of all, you know, I could probably count on one hand the number of people that have said, this is not my first rodeo. So what you're talking about is the exception, not the rule. And the real answer to your question is this. You have to focus on the other benefits of the appointment. You have to focus on that. All right, so if I'm able to say, listen, Michelle, you know that on your street and in your neighborhood, there are properties that although they are the same, they do not sell for the same amount of money. The reason is because there are things that you can do to your home to make it worth more money. Inexpensive things that you can do. And there are things not to do that will make your home worth more money. Michelle, if I can come and take a look at your property, I can point out what all of those things are so you can maximize the dollars in your pocket. It's absolutely free. There's no obligation whatsoever. And I'm flexible. When would be a good time for me to come by and take a look?
May I ask you, James, is there a place where there's listed things to do and not to do?
Michelle, Michelle, this is your expertise. Okay, you've been doing this a long time. When you go and see a homeowner, you know exactly what makes their property appealing to many buyers and what makes it unappealing to many buyers. This is the purpose of the presentation.
I haven't been doing it a long time.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not prepared to over a role play to share with you, like if somebody has you know, clutter. That would be pretty obvious. What you're trying to do is make the property appealing to as large an audience as possible, right? The more people that appeal to the property, the more demand. The more demand, price goes up. The more the property is unappealing to a maximum number of people, the less appealing, the less demand, the lower the price. It's not complicated, and it's what we do for a living. See, here's the difference. The homeowner does not do this for a living. We do. Okay, so here's what I recommend. You need to talk to your broker and the manager at your office, and you need to get their wisdom and expertise in your marketplace on what makes properties appealing to a wide audience and what limits the appeal of properties to a large audience. So that when you speak to a homeowner, you're able to convey to them how to make their property more appealing to a wider audience so that they can fetch more money for their property. Okay? What I'm talking about now is not what we're going to do when we get there. What I'm talking about is how we articulate that over the phone so the prospect says, hey, that makes sense. You're right. That does make sense. If you can tell me how to make my property more appealing to more people, there'll be more demand and I'll get more money. That makes sense. And let me get this straight. It's free. You're not charging me money for this, and I'm not obligated to do anything. That sounds like a good deal to me. You have to get really good at articulating that to the prospect so that they have that reaction. And I know it's a work in progress, but you will get there. You will get there.
Now I ask one further question. You mentioned that we should mention pocket listing. What information do you send for a pocket listing if, for example, that address has never been on the MLS? What do you send them?
What I'm saying is if there are other realtors in your office, right? Other realtors in your office or other colleagues in your marketplace who have listings that, although they may be available for sale, they're not on the MLS. Okay? Those are called pocket listings. You're not saying I'm not saying, hey Michelle, every day I'm sending you pocket listings. Didn't say that. I'm saying this. If a pocket listing happens to come available that matches what you and your family are looking for, I will send it to you. Is that true?
But what
Yes
do
or no?
you send? What do you send?
I would send them the information on that pocket listing from that other realtor if it were available and if it matched what my client was looking for.
Information do you send?
Information on the pocket listing. Okay, so I have a colleague in the office, and their name is Ben. And Ben has this listing that, although it's not listed on MLS, it's for sale. Okay, if the right offer comes along, this property is for sale. I know about it because Ben mentioned it in the office meeting 2 weeks ago. Now, this property is a great property, and it's somewhere roughly in the $600,000 to $650,000 price range. And I know that it's a 4-bedroom property, and it's somewhere around 3,500 to 4,000 square feet. And I have this buyer, and I know that's exactly what they're looking for, is something like that. So in addition to sending them all of the properties on MLS that match that criteria, I'm also going to approach Ben and I'm going to say, hey, Ben, a couple weeks ago you mentioned that pocket listing that you have that may or may not hit the market. I've got some buyers that might be interested in that. Can I forward them information about your pocket listing? And Ben provides me with the information and I send it to my client. That's cool, right?
I was just wondering what physical thing you send them. It's just an address, and it hasn't appeared on the MLS.
Well, whatever Ben has, whatever information Ben has about that property that he provides me, I will forward on to my client.
What if it's just an address?
Well, I guess that's what they get.
Okay.
But it's not all I'm
Thank you.
sending. Remember, they're getting all of the properties that match their home buying criteria. What are the odds that they're going to buy that listing? Very slight. Very slight. Can I tell you what they're going to buy? They're going to buy a property on MLS. Why? Because it represents 99.9% of the properties that they'll see. So is the likeliness they're going to buy one of the 999 out of 1,000 properties on the MLS or the one that isn't? Overwhelmingly, the odds are they're not going to buy the pocket listing. They're going to buy one of the properties on MLS. That's what is going to happen. Okay, Andrea, who's next?
Well, I thought I have the audio ready from Sandy's recording if you wanted to go ahead and do that.
Wonderful. Yes, I would love to do that. Let's do it.
Okay, give me just a few seconds. You might hear some delay in my audio. I have to change settings, but just give me one moment.
Hi, is Maria there, please? This is. Hi, Maria. It's Sandy Casella calling from RE/MAX. And the reason I'm calling is I received your request to search for properties on our search site, searchallhomesinmississauga.com. Just wanted to let you know that you do have full access to use the site. I hope that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Are you planning a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
We're just looking. If the right thing comes along, yes, but not in any rush.
Okay. Are you renting right now or do you own the house?
No, I own the house.
Okay. And if you were to move, would you stay in the same neighborhood or would you move to a different area?
I would really like to stay in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
It's a little pricey, so that's why I'm like, well, if the right deal comes along, we'll end up staying. I have 3 kids and they all go to school around here, so I really don't want to move them. I have my son that's in grade 4, and so yeah, I'd rather stay here, but we'll have to see.
Okay. If you were to move, any idea when that might be?
Like I said, I'm just looking at things that pop up in the neighborhood, and if the right deal comes along, we'll take it. So it could be any time, but it'd have to be the right thing.
Okay. Do you have a real estate agent to help you when the time is right?
I do.
Okay. And are you 100% committed to that real estate agent?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
It's a friend of my husband's, so I'm pretty sure we'll just end up going with him.
Okay, because there is a difference, obviously, between what realtors do and what they charge to get the job done. Would you be open to speaking with me as well when that time comes?
Sure.
Okay. Now, if you found something, so you're saying if you found the right property that you would probably make a move if the right property came up.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're hoping to buy something first before you sell your house, or would you sell your house first and then buy something?
Well, if the right thing comes along, it would be on condition of selling my house.
Okay. would you like me to email you every day all the new listings that come up in the neighborhoods that you're looking in that would match what you want? They would be from all real estate companies. We also access some off-market properties as well that you wouldn't find on the internet, like some for sale by owners and different properties like that. It's free. It doesn't obligate you to anything. Do you think that would be helpful?
Sure.
Right to your inbox. Okay. Do you have maybe like 15 or 20 minutes over the next couple of days that we could get together so I can get a really good idea of what it is that you're looking for so I can send you those properties as soon as they come on the market?
I have a really busy life schedule, but the next few days.
Or even the end of the week. Like I'm going to be out of town I'm out of town tomorrow till Wednesday. So even if it's the end of the week next week, if that works better for you.
Yeah, if you could call back, that would be better. I just don't know. My husband shift works and stuff like that, so I'm not sure when he's working. My son plays hockey. My daughter's in ballet. There's a lot of stuff going on. Plus, I work, so
okay. Yeah,
it's a little hectic. But if you wanted to call, and then we could see where I am next week and.
Okay, well, why don't we do this since we're both on the phone? Why don't we set something up for late next week, and then I can just confirm with you through the week and see if it still works, and if it doesn't, we could switch it, because it sounds like you're quite busy. So that's
why I'm really just looking, and if something like if you have stuff and you send it to me and it pops up, I can easily give you a call or whatever. But
I want to do a good job for you. So because you are busy, this is a good service, because what would happen is it would send you properties. All you got to do is look at your email. So it's not going to, you don't have to go online and search, and then you're not going to miss out on the perfect one. Because I find sometimes with people who are really busy, they search and search and search. And then the one day that they don't get a chance to do it, something comes up that, that matches what they want, and they miss out on it. So this way, you take a little bit of time up front and, 20 minutes up front, whatever, but it does save you a lot of time going forward. And those properties are, like I say, they're sent right to your inbox, so you're sure not to miss anything.
Right. Okay.
So why don't we set something up for late this week, and then we can always switch it if that doesn't work for you. I can touch base with you through the week.
Okay.
So what's normally better for you, like days, evenings, or weekends?
Oh, no weekends.
Okay.
Nights probably, because I work. But
what about Thursday evening or Friday? Which one would be better?
Probably Friday evening. Friday evening would be better.
Okay.
Because then I don't have to rush to get the kids in bed, because they go to bed at 7:30 and 8, and then I have a little one. So.
Okay. So what would be better for you, like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock better?
7 o'clock better.
7 o'clock is better. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, is it better to meet at my office, or is it better to meet at your house?
Where's your office?
My office is at Highway 10 in Lakeshore.
No, better to meet at my house.
Okay. And what's your address there?
It's 3162.
Yep.
McCarron. McCarron Crescent.
Okay. And that's in Mississauga, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to send you an email with my contact information and just the time that we've decided on, and I'll touch base with you through the week just to make sure that still works.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
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 Okay. Thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome. We are back.
Okay. First of all, more important, thank you, Sandy. That was really, really well done. This is, as I'm listening to this, this lady is very apprehensive, and cost and obligation, the fear of the salesperson is so obvious. I mean, I'm hoping that listening from a third-party, position, you're hearing everything, because you don't have to think about what you're going to say. And you can really hear that clearly this prospect wants help, but clearly they are very apprehensive about moving forward. So what we've got to figure out is, what is it they're apprehensive about? And the idea is, well, obviously, they're apprehensive about moving forward with a salesperson. A salesperson is going to sell you. So meeting with a salesperson, you know, taking up any offer from a salesperson, all of these things, our perception is there's some sort of commitment or cost attached to them. So you cannot go overboard enough in making sure the prospect understands that there is no cost and there is no obligation, right? This is a non-threatening offer, and you've got to really go out of your way to make it, to make sure the prospect understands that. You know, here's something else that really struck me. Any other realtor in Sandy's office that would speak to this lady, okay, so take any other realtor in Sandy's office that was on the phone with this lady, there is not one of them that would have booked an appointment with this prospect. Not one. There's no question. The offer in the script and Sandy's use of logic, using the universal callback script, making the offer, explaining how it works, explaining what you're going to receive every day, explaining this is perfect for busy people, all of that dialogue allowed Sandy, albeit reluctantly, to book the appointment with this prospect. And I just want to point out that this is a prospect that I assure you would not have booked an appointment to meet with any other realtor that wasn't armed with that dialogue. There's just no way. You could clearly tell. I just want Sandy, by the way, can we open up Sandy's mic, Andrea?
Hold on just one moment. Sandy, I have you open on my end. Go ahead and click them. There you go.
Hi.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, good morning. Hi,
Good
how
morning.
are you?
I'm awesome. Thanks so much for sending that, by the way.
Oh,
that
my
was
pleasure.
really,
Thank you.
yeah, that was really instructive. One thing that I did notice on here, and you probably do by listening, right? I mean, it's really good to listen back and you can hear yourself and you can say, geez, I should have said this, or I didn't realize I sounded that way. Right, you get those little things. The one part is this, and this is very common. When you're about to make the offer to meet, you become reluctant. Like, I think your dialogue was something like this. Sandy, do you think we could, you'd have maybe 15 or 20 minutes for me? It's almost like you're saying it in a way that kind of says this. You probably aren't going to want to do this, but is there any chance you might like to meet with me? And if you listen back, it kind of comes across that way. In other words, you're framing this at the very beginning as something that you're probably going to be opposed to. What you want to do instead is you want to meet it head on as the obvious thing to do. Like, it's kind of like this. You want to have the mindset that the dentist office has. When the receptionist at the dentist office calls you to book an appointment, they're not apprehensive. They say, okay, what's better for you, next Tuesday at 3 or Wednesday at 1? It is a given that we're going to meet, and because that's the way it's done. That's how you do it. So, when you're making the offer, it needs to be more obvious and more confident, because that is then instilled in the prospect. If you're able to say, Sandy, when would be a good time for you to get together with me for 15 or 20 minutes so we can do a good job of figuring out what you're looking for? I'm flexible, but what would be better, days, evenings, or weekends? You have to make it sound like this step is obvious and it is how it's done. And the prospect will hear that. But if it sounds apprehensive, if it sounds like it's an option, then the prospect is going to be wishy-washy about it. You did a really good job, though. I especially liked when the prospect said that they had another realtor to help them. What they really meant was, we know another realtor. They didn't mean they're committed. Right. They meant they knew another realtor. The way you handled that was textbook. I mean, it really was to a T perfect. Here's what I want to know, though. What happened?
Oh, I haven't. The appointment's tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I'll
definitely keep us updated. This is like a cliffhanger for all of our members. They're very curious how this is going to go, so we're all going to follow.
Now, here's one other thing, Sandy. When it's a buyer appointment and they own a home that they would be selling, there is no. Don't even give them the option of your office. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not really sure why I did that. As soon as I got off the phone, I knew that I shouldn't have done it that way. I think I was so like I was kind of, I guess I was just kind of nervous because they said they had a realtor, and that's where I got thrown off.
Right.
But also thank you for that input about making the offer, because I've listened to a few of my calls and I had actually picked up on that I was doing that I was, it's almost like I'm afraid to ask the question. So I've started to try and change that. So, but thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have some trigger words written down where you can make that offer so it just rolls off your tongue and there's no umming and ahhing. There's
good.
Right? I just think that the confidence in your words will come through to the prospect, and if the way the prospect feels about it is, well, I guess this is how it works. Now, this is instructional for everybody who's on the webinar. When you have a buyer appointment with a buyer that owns a home, always book the appointment at their home. Right? And here's something else that if you wanted to, you probably could have added as well. You could have said this, Sandy, we'll do the appointment at your home on Friday evening, but what I can also do is I'll prepare some properties in your neighborhood that have sold, so that you can have a good idea of what your home would sell for if you were to put it on the market. And we can also look at some tips and things to do to increase the value of your property. We can go over a net sheet. Things like that would be helpful if you're, eventually considering putting your home on the market. It'd be helpful to have all that information. So I can leave all that with you on Friday night when I come and see you. Now, here's why we do that. What we're doing is we're plussing the appointment. So the likeliness of prospect canceling the appointment is reduced dramatically because we've given them now multiple reasons for our appointment.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. No, that was very, very helpful. Thank you so much I did get your email, so thank you so much for that feedback.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for doing that. And if you ever want to do it again, we'd love to listen to it. And I'm really hoping that this encourages everybody else as well. Record your calls. Hey, one last question, Sandy. What did you use to record the call?
I used Tape-A-Call on my cell phone.
Okay, so there's an app called Tape-A-Call. And
there's an app
it's
called
okay. I'll let you go here now, Sandy. It sounds like you're about to drive away, so I'll let you go. But the app is called Tape-A-Call. So go to the App Store, download Tape-A-Call, follow the instructions. You're just going to tap the app and then dial the number from the app, and it'll record the call for you. So everybody should be able to do that. You don't have to do that with all your calls, but if you did it with some, you'd find it really instructional. So I'd love to get more of those that we can listen to. It's really helpful to do that. Thank you, Sandy. Okay, Andrea, let's take some of our chat questions.
Okay, and I really like your phrase, tap the app. I think that was fantastic.
Tap the app?
It totally rhymes, and you need to coin that phrase forever.
Trademark. Every time someone says it, I get a penny.
Tap the app. Okay, Doug, he typed in, she masterfully removed the fear and obligation with all of the value and benefits. Congratulations. So there's a lot of our members saying, what an awesome job she did. I just wanted to let her know that.
Darn tootin'. Yes, Sandy's very good at this.
Okay, we have a question. In the script, you say you're going to take the buyer's information to determine what their criteria are. Where do I find this form?
Okay, on your MLS, if you were to set up a property search on your MLS, is it true that it would ask you what you're looking for? Okay, so you're on the computer, you're preparing this in MLS. Is it true that it would ask, there would be fields that you would need to fill in that ask you where, what price, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, size of lot, pool, like all kinds of things. That's all. So what if your MLS has 82 different criteria fields that could be filled out? Then could you say to your prospect, when we get together, I want to do a good job of determining what you're looking for. We've got 82 different criteria fields that help us steer you in the right direction so that we're not missing out on the perfect property or sending you properties that aren't of interest to you. Well, what are you referring to? You're referring to the fields in your MLS search. Next question.
Just so everyone knows, on your screen now, a lot of members are asking, repeat the app, repeat the app. So you see it on your screen now. You can just either go online or with your device and type in tape a call. Okay, we have a common...
Sorry, go ahead.
We have a common objection that it looks like a lot of our members seem to be getting, and it's, I can find this information online. I don't really need you to send it to me. I can go to realtor.com and various other places. Can you please give us how you overcome that objection?
It's absolutely true. Yes, they can. So this is why we have to emphasize, as Sandy did, what we refer to as proprietary information, okay? Proprietary. Here's what this means, okay? There are two benefits to what we're offering. The first is that they're going to get priority access. So in other words, and I think Sandy mentioned this, although you can find some of these properties by going online and searching, the day that you're busy and you don't do it, the perfect property might come available and you're going to miss it because you didn't comb the internet and all the different websites looking for a property that day. My way is going to ensure that it's sitting in your email inbox the moment it comes available in the market. You don't have to spend hours searching and combing the internet looking for any new property that has come on the market that matches what you're looking for. And you'll receive the property immediately upon coming on the market, not days or weeks later, which is what you'll find if you go onto realtor.com, for example. Okay, that's number one. Way more importantly than that is this. Andrea, I'm not sure what you're getting looking online, but would you also like to receive the hard-to-find deals that you may not find on the various websites that you mentioned? For example, private sales, company-owned properties, distress sales, bank foreclosures, pocket listings, probates. There are properties that are available that will not be on realtor.com or some of the other websites that you mentioned that may represent a fantastic deal for what you and your family are looking for. If a property like that comes available, would you like to know about that property as well? I dare you to say no. Because you're not going to. You're going to say, yeah, I would. Well, I will include those properties as well. When would be a good time for you to get together for 10 or 15 minutes so we can take down exactly what you're looking for and do a great job for you? I'm flexible. There's no cost. There's no obligation. Days, evenings, weekends. Book the appointment. Remember, it's not just that we're offering them priority access. It's that we're offering them proprietary access. We're not saying every day I'm sending you bank foreclosures. What we're saying is I have access to other deals that you won't find through these mainstream websites. Would you also like to receive those properties when and if they come available and they match what you're looking for? Would you like to get those great deals as well? The prospect will always say yes. Of course they would like to get those, right? So you're differentiating, and this is how we started this morning's webinar. You must know how to differentiate what you are offering from what they're doing. If I say, listen, every day I go on to realtor.com and I search for properties and I look at Trulia. That's what I do. You say that you can help me find a property that's better than going on to realtor.com and Trulia. What can you do that's better than that? Go. Now, if you're scratching your head right now saying, I don't know, I don't think I could do any better than that. Well, then don't expect people to want to meet with you if you can articulate how you can help them better than what they're doing currently. But what most of you are thinking is, oh, yeah, I could definitely help them. Properties on Trulia, they don't include all the properties. There's a huge lag time between when the property comes available and when you might find it there. Plus, there are all kinds of other listings that are available that you'll never find there. So it's incomplete. There's a lag time, and it requires you doing the work of looking every day to find these properties. I could do a much better job than that. Articulate that to the prospect, remove the risk of cost and obligation, and you will book appointments over and over and over again. Any other last chat questions we have, Andrea, before we wrap it up for today?
We do, but a lot of our questions aren't really in reference to follow-up. And just as a quick reminder, today is our role play session. So we do follow-up questions, questions about the scripts. Now we have, for those who may be newer to our program, we have our marketing clinic tomorrow where we will take those marketing type questions. And James, if you just want to do a little reminder about that.
Yeah, that's true. If anyone has questions in regards to, lead generation, then you need to make sure that tomorrow at the same time you are on the webinar, because tomorrow we're going to do our ad clinic webinar, our marketing webinar, and it is going to exclusively revolve around lead generation. So any and all questions, anything that pertains to generating the lead in the first place is what we're going to be discussing on tomorrow's ad clinic webinar. So do make sure that you tune in for that, and Andrea's got everybody registered for it, so it'll be super easy.
That's right. You should, not quite everybody quite yet, but within the next few hours, you should be receiving your confirmation to join that session.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody today, especially those of you that volunteered, asked questions, participated. Sandy especially for sending in her call. And I want to encourage everybody to do exactly the same thing. Record a couple of your calls. You don't have to do it with all of them, but record a couple of them. And then why don't you do this? Just send them to me privately first and let me take a listen. And if you, if you feel comfortable with it, then we'll play your call on the role play session, but by no means do we have to. But I can tell you it's extremely instructional to record and listen to your call and also get another opinion and critique as well. And as I said, you're not, we don't have to use it on the role play session here, but if you feel comfortable with that, you can see how helpful that is, and it'll encourage others to do the same thing as well. So I will look forward to tomorrow, our ad clinic session, same time, and come armed with all of your lead generation related questions and send in any ads that you'd like us to take a look at, and we'll have a great session tomorrow. Thanks so much, everybody, for participating today. Andrea, thanks for your help as always.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a wonderful afternoon. Talk to you all tomorrow.